Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Updegraff. I just wanted to introduce you guys to your first video, the little update series that I like to do for you guys. So just to kind of clue you in on what we've been doing this week and kind of what we're looking forward to next week on your home site. So as you can see, if you remember from the build quality introduction, we talked about that phase one being the concrete phase essentially. So this is essentially the last step right here prior to us actually pouring concrete. So the good news is we actually got this slot inspected today. So we completed the slab inspection. So essentially what the inspector was out here looking at is a lot of the same stuff that I come out here and look at to make sure that we're meeting the Pulte construction standards, and then we're also meeting the town of Bluffton municipal codes in order for us to actually pour concrete. So just walking around the lot, you might see some of this stuff like right here, the pink dots. So this is kind of my process when I come through and actually inspect the lot. These are the things that I'm looking at. So some of the stuff that I'm typically looking for at this point in time is I want to make sure that they have all these straps in place per the way our plans engineer them to be installed. So our plans call for these to be in very specific locations, so they got those straps in there, and of course my inspection has annotated that. And then of course these little guys, these little straps right here are Masa straps is what we call them. They're wet set into the concrete. All these straps that you see here right now are going to be actually wet set into the concrete. So meaning when they actually pour the concrete, these are going to be ingrained into the concrete, and then they will actually get nailed off to the framing. And I'll try to point that out to you guys when we actually get into framing the house. But all these straps that you see here right now are in the correct location. I've gone through and inspected all those to make sure that we have them in the right location. Some of the other stuff that I'm looking at is this wire mesh right here. So a lot of concrete, a lot of other companies, they use a fiber mesh concrete. And all that does is add tensile strength to their concrete. That's one of the ways they try to keep concrete from cracking. We don't do that here at Pulte. We actually use wire mesh right here, and it sits up on these little chairs that you see right here. So it's held up in a certain portion of your actual slab so that we're able to actually control that concrete from cracking a lot more than you would be able to with the fiber mesh. The con with fiber mesh, and the reason we don't use it, is sometimes you end up with a look issue. It doesn't look very good. You end up with a bunch of fibers sticking out of the edges of your concrete, and then when it does finally decide to crack, which concrete will crack, it's just a matter of when and where, there's nothing to actually hold it together from cracking even more. So that's why we do this. We use a 3000 psi concrete with wire mesh, and that does a really good job of controlling a lot of the cracking that you might have seen in a lot of other older homes that don't use this process. So typically all we usually see is a little bit of stress cracking and maybe some shrinkage cracking here and there, but it's a really good process that we use here. We usually end up with pretty good looking concrete. Another thing I'm looking for at this point in time is all of these drain sleeves that you see right here. If you haven't noticed already, they all have pink dots on them. Another thing that I'm looking for is that little black material right there. The reason I'm looking for that is we call that a decoupling material. I want to make sure that each one of these pass-throughs that has water that's going to be draining into it has a barrier that protects it against the actual concrete that's going to be poured around it. So it's going to allow for expansion and contraction of not only the concrete, but it's going to allow for expansion and contraction of that PVC pipe. So I've gone through and inspected all the pipes just to make sure that they have it in the right location and that they do all have it on there. So it's great news. Other than that, I just go through and I'm inspecting the overlap of the wire mesh. They really did a great job on this slab out here. The inspection, we got a first time go on the inspection, which is great news. As far as PCS standards go, they've done a great job out here making sure they're doing everything according to the way Pulte likes to have it done when it comes to the application of all this material that you see here. This plastic material that you see under here is a very important requirement. We call it vapor barrier, and the reason we use that, and a lot of other companies would want to use this, is so you don't have moisture wicking through your concrete. It controls moisture. You always want to have some sort of barrier between the actual earth and the concrete, and that's why you see this installed. And then you just want to make sure, when they go to tape off all the seams, that there's no exposed areas there, allowing water to potentially get through the concrete. So all in all, this is a great install. Like I said, we passed that inspection, so we're actually going to be good to pour concrete on Monday. We're going to have a big pump truck out here pouring the concrete. So exciting stuff. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with a bunch of the technicals of it, but just to let you know, we're definitely making progress out here. As far as next week, what we're going to be doing is, like I said, we're going to pour concrete hopefully on Monday, and then we're going to let the slab cure for a couple of days. In the meantime, we're going to get the lot rough graded out here, so all this dirt and stuff is going to get nice and graded out, so it's going to look pretty. And then we are going to get the material dropped off on site so we can get ready for framing, hopefully towards the end of next week. Hopefully we'll have time to maybe shoot you an update video. If they're able to start framing next week, maybe Thursday, Friday, I'll probably try to get you a quick video of that. But essentially that's what we're looking like here this week. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, call, text, shoot me an email. If you happen to get to me over these next couple of days, we're actually going to be off work Thursday and Friday, so if you respond to me at that point in time, I will get back to you on Monday. Other than that, if you call today, I've got a 3 o'clock meeting, but anytime before that would work out just fine. Other than that, I hope you guys have an excellent Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next update.